Welcome everyone to Monday Match Analysis. I'm Gill Gross. It is still Monday. I did not miss Monday this week. It may be late, but it is Monday, and we have so much to get to this week, much to discuss. At the end, I'm going to preview Madrid, the next ATP Masters 1000s on clay, and I will also talk about the Chung-Zverev match in the Munich semifinals. Zverev ended up winning the tournament, but instead of focusing on that final match against Kohlschreiber, which Zverev won 6-3, 6-3, let's focus on the match against Chung, a little bit more interesting. And then I want to take a little dive into Chung's serve. As you'll soon find out, I think that his serve and Chung's shortcomings on his serve did play a role in him losing this match, but Zverev played excellent. Big tournament for Zverev. Basically, the match as a whole in the first set, it was sort of a pendulum of momentum, and, you know, both players kind of had their moments. Zverev's moment came at the end of the set. So I'm not going to look too much into that first set, but the second set is where Zverev sort of separated himself, and I thought that there were two major reasons for that. One, and I actually said this last week. Last week I said I have a complaint about next-gen players in general, particularly Zverev, Chung, and I know he's getting old. Some people get mad when I call him next-gen, but team. I know he's not technically next-gen. But still, these guys aren't consistent enough. These guys should be like Nadal and Djokovic and Murray, right? You know, Zverev a little bit less so, because I think that he has a little bit more potential to be the offensive player that Federer is. But right now, and by the way, he'll never get to that level, but you know what I mean. Stylistically, he could get there. But still, these guys got to get more consistent. In this match, Zverev was the steadier player, the more consistent player, and Chung made a lot of errors, unforced errors, especially on his forehand. So let's take a look at the second set, a set that Zverev won 6-2 after winning the first set 7-5. So I'm going to go back into my notes. They are on serve at 1-all, and the game score is 30-all. People make a big deal out of breakpoint conversion and game point conversion. But what about the 30-all point and what about the deuce points that determine whether or not you're going to get that opportunity? Those points are just as big. So 30-all, Chung makes a forehand unforced error. Then Zverev actually makes an error. Now it's deuce, and Chung makes another forehand error, giving Zverev another chance. Chung saves the break point. Then deuce again, a missed overhead, not a particularly hard overhead. It was high in the air, but it was not deep in the court. So you give Zverev 3 chances on gifts, unforced errors, and eventually he's going to cash in. But Chung goes down another break at 1-3. And let's go to a little bit of film study here. And the main thing that I'm going to be looking at here is how locked in Zverev was to Chung's serve. So this is the point at love all. And Chung makes his first serve. It's out wide to Zverev's forehand, and look where Zverev's return lands, right at Chung's feet. Zverev ends up winning the point. Here's the next point. Sorry, that didn't go. There's the next point. This is a second serve, and once again, look at the location of the return, right at Chung's feet. And Chung missed this. He missed this next shot. He missed his forehand. Now on the next one, it's love 30. Zverev hits an angle on I believe it was a backhand return, and once again, Chung is unable to even defend Zverev's aggressive return. So right now, if we pause for a second, it's love 40, and Chung, the server, has been on his back foot to start all 3 points. This next return, as you can see, a little bit shorter, and Chung's able to sort of step into it, or at least kind of have neutral balance. He's not on his heels like he was on the previous 3, and Chung actually wins this point. But then on this next return, the still image doesn't do it great justice, in my opinion. But this is a very heavy backhand return by Zverev. And as you can see, by Chung's body weight, he's sort of leaning back here. And once again, immediately on the defensive, and Zverev gets the break. So the reason for that, the reason I showed you that is just how ineffective Chung's first serve was against Zverev. And these are the stats for the match. Aces, 8-0, Zverev. Now, I don't expect Chung to hit aces, and I don't expect him to hit more aces than Zverev. But look at first serve points won. 51% by Chung. That should be your second serve points won. Instead, his second serve points won, it's only 6% lower at 46%. But that 51% is a major problem for Chung if he wants to hold serve. Excuse me. He did break Zverev, I think twice in the 2 sets. Usually wouldn't cut it on clay, but at the end of the day, Chung just couldn't defend his serve, especially in that second set where he got broken in either 2 out of the 3 or 2 out of the 4 service games that he played in that second set. And that's just because Zverev was completely keyed into that serve. So unforced errors by Chung, and the serve sort of did him in. And that's why Zverev was able to win this match. So I want to take a technical look at Chung's serve, and I want to compare his serve to Andy Roddick's serve. Reason for that is mostly foot placement. I did not drink a lot of water before doing this, and it's really coming back to haunt me here. And I don't have any water anywhere here. Okay, so Chung and Roddick have similar foot placement where they don't. Okay, normally 2 kinds of serves. A platform serve, like imagine Federer's serve, where your legs are kind of spread apart and they stay that way. And then you have your pinpoint serve. And I'm not sure how universal these terms are, but these are the terms that I use at least, and my coaches use. A pinpoint serve is when you're going to bring that back leg up, and then your feet are very, very close together, and then you explode into your serve. Chung and Roddick are almost neither, because they're almost like a pinpoint serve. Monfils, another guy like this, almost like a pinpoint serve. Their legs are pretty close together, but they don't even bring it up. And then also just Roddick is a great guy to look at his serve because it was technically so nice. He got so much out of his body. Everyone with a big serve has a live arm. So, like, if you notice that Americans, I'm going on a tangent here, but we have time. If you notice that a lot of the Americans have really big serves, it's as simple as this. They grow up throwing baseballs. They grow up throwing footballs. So a lot of the times they have a live arm. With that being said, the majority of the power of the serve comes from the legs, and I'll say the core. And I want to look at Chung's core specifically because it's pretty good with the legs. So I'm going to skip to his trophy position. This is his trophy position. And like I said, his legs are pretty good. His feet are close together. His toss, his toss hand is up. And this is basically, normally your trophy position is at the height of your toss. But you see where I drew a red line. What I tried to do with that red line is connect Chung's shoulder blades. And as you can see, connecting his shoulder blades, that's a pretty flat line. Now, I'm going to go back to this, but let's check out Roddick. This is Roddick's trophy position. You see how tilted that red line is? That's called shoulder tilt. Simple as that. I know it's not a very creative name. That shoulder tilt is really, really important because look what it's going to do. Here's Chung, but look at Roddick. You see how he kind of flipped the scales almost on his shoulder tilt? A lot of power comes from your core and your hips and ultimately your shoulders as they shift from that kind of back shoulder down position to that back shoulder forward position. It's a very important movement to get the power out of your serve. So once again, here's Chung, very flat. Here's Roddick very tilted. Now, how can Chung help himself get back more? There's two things. One, if you don't have enough shoulder tilt, the best thing to focus on is kiss your bicep. Either that or bicep to the ear. Look how Roddick's bicep, he could almost kiss it. Let's check out Chung. You see how there's a little bit of space there? If he could eliminate that space and almost kind of just bring his toss hand back a little bit towards his face, it would naturally help him with that shoulder tilt. One more thing. Roddick's racket position, you see how he kind of tucks it back behind his body? That's also kind of going to help him get that shoulder tilt. Chung, his arm is up almost. Not almost, it is up. His racket's up. Look at the difference in the racket position. So it's going to be kind of hard to get that proper shoulder tilt when your racket is that high in the air on your in your trophy position. And once again, let's just take a look at this. Chung exploding up. He uses his legs well. His toss is very high, but I haven't seen too many issues with his toss, believe it or not. But this is the biggest thing that stands out. And then even on the distribution, you can see how much more Roddick gets out of his shoulder tilt. By the way, this right here, this freeze frame is called the racket drop. So it goes racket touch, trophy position, racket drop, contact, and follow through. One day, I'm sure on one of these Mondays, I'll go through an entire service motion, and I don't know when I feel it's right. But for this, I really wanted to focus on Chung's trophy position. And then when you take a look at his racket drop, you can see how he just doesn't get enough of his core and his shoulder tilt. He doesn't incorporate that enough. He's 6'3". He has massive leg drive. So in theory, he should have a really big serve. Most of the power, my unscientific view on this, and you literally could probably go into a lab and figure out how much power from a serve comes from which body part. There's a few places where you get your power. I'd say probably about 60% is the legs, 20% is core, and then probably the other 20%, or 25% the core, and then 15%, the remaining 15% will be your tricep extension. That'll probably be the rest of it. So that live arm is great. Like the Americans normally have that live arm, but a lot of it comes from the legs. Isner, Roddick, those guys, watch their lower half. It's huge on the serve. And Chung's lower half is pretty good. The rest isn't, though. So I'd like to see him make these small technical adjustments. They're not major adjustments. It might seem like it, but I really don't think it's too big a deal. I guess to summarize, if you get your toss hand a little bit closer to your face where you can kiss your bicep, or you're getting your bicep to your ear, I think it'll help you get that shoulder tilt this way. And then if you also kind of drop your racket position from here, maybe down to here, that's also going to help you get that shoulder tilt. So those are the two things on Chung's serve. Tennis technique. I normally talk about tactics. I talk a little bit less about technique. I got to get rolling here on talking about Madrid. But technique, there is no right or wrong answer. That's not true. There are wrong answers, but there are often multiple correct answers. So this is my opinion on his technique, but just like me, saying I think so-and-so is going to win, it's a little bit more scientific when you talk about technique. But there are multiple right answers. So if you guys have opinions on Chung's serve, what he needs to do better, let me know. Okay, let's move on to Madrid. Starting with Nadal's quarter, we'll go quarter by quarter here. The contenders in Nadal's quarter: Dominic Thiem, Pablo Carreño Busta. It really doesn't matter. Nadal's obviously going to come out of this quarter. Dominic Thiem beat him at Rome last year, but Nadal's owned him in every single meeting since. So that's that, right? That wasn't very hard. Now, Del Potro's quarter. When I saw the draw, I was very, very happy. I was celebrating. Why do you think I was celebrating? It's because Del Potro's draw is pretty easy. And that has nothing to do with me liking Del Potro. It has everything to do with me wanting to see Del Potro and Nadal meet. It's the matchup I want to see. And after Del Potro's form in the hardcourt season, I still say that the best shot at beating Nadal is Juan Martin Del Potro. I'm quite confident in saying that. I think, yeah. I don't think, we haven't seen what we need to see from Thiem. He owns Zverev. Zverev doesn't really move well enough, I feel like, to beat Nadal on clay at the moment. And Chung isn't there. So Del Potro, I think, is the guy. Djokovic isn't there, obviously. And we'll get to him a little bit later, by the way. Not that we have a lot of time. But all Del Potro would need to go through is Bautista, Agut, and Kevin Anderson. Very, very doable. Anderson, we might see some tie breaks, so that could get a little bit iffy. But I favor Del Potro, and hopefully we get to see them play. I just want to see these guys play. I don't think Del Potro is going to win, but I would expect a close match. By the way, and I will get to this later, keep in mind about Madrid. This is a much faster clay court than probably any other clay court in any other major tournament in the world. So that's something to consider for sure, and something that I did consider in making these picks. So I think Del Potro comes out of his quarter. Now we have Grigor Dimitrov's quarter. This is the most interesting quarter for early, I guess for up until the semis. This quarter brings the most intrigue for me. So Dimitrov is going to face an unseeded Milos Raonic in the second round, so that'll be interesting. And then, also in the second round, Chung will likely play David Goffin. That's going to be a really good match. And I'm actually picking Goffin in that match. Then, also, Djokovic beat Nishikori earlier. So, in the round of 16, if Djokovic gets by his second-round opponent, and nothing's a given anymore with Novak, then he would play the winner of Chung and Goffin. My pick to come out of this quarter is David Goffin. I think that I'm a big fan of his game on clay. I think that, Grigor has made a bit of a recovery after disastrous play at Miami and Indian Wells. Grigor's kind of looking pretty good again. But on clay, I sort of like I like David Goffin's game a lot, so I'm going to go with him. And then in our last quarter, we have Alexander Zverev coming off another title. The guy, you got to give it to him. He racks up the titles. He still hasn't made a run in a major, but he does rack up the titles for his age. Oh, my goodness. In this one, you have Isner and Sock, the Americans. They could both face Zverev in the quarterfinals. But before then, Tsitsipas could play Zverev in the second round, as long as he gets through his first-round match. So that could be very exciting. And then the always dangerous Fabio Fognini, also in the quarter. He's getting ready for his home tournament in Rome. But for now, the focus is on Madrid for good old Fabio. My pick in this is Isner. So my thought in that is, one, why not? Trying to be exciting. Isner beats Zverev, remember, in the Miami final. So, wait, was it Indian Wells or was it Miami? Uh-oh. Let me see real quick. But anyway, I mentioned how the courts are super fast in Madrid. I think that would obviously help Isner in a rematch with Zverev. But I want to give him the benefit of the doubt, just because of how impressive he was at Indian Wells / Miami. I'm trying to just check right now. You guys are going to kill me. I know you guys are going to kill me. But overall, the number one thing I feel like to look out for in Madrid is Djokovic, as always. I didn't even mention last week when he got ousted in the first round in Barcelona. See, his plan to get more match play is really backfiring because he lost in the first round of Barcelona, and then he drew Nishikori. So lucky for him, he was able to get through Nishikori. I haven't been able to watch that match, but that's quite impressive. Let's see. It's Miami. Okay. So I was good the first time. It was Miami. All right. Yes. So I have Isner coming out of there. And then in the final, I have Goffin beating Isner, Nadal beating Del Potro, and Nadal winning Madrid. I'm trying to think if there's anything, if there's anything major to look out for, because the story really isn't who's going to win anymore, because Nadal just looks unbeatable. So, the Tsitsipas match will certainly be interesting early against Zverev. And then, once again, Chung and Goffin, and Novak Djokovic, and Juan Martin Del Potro. Del Potro is the number one thing, I think. Will Del Potro have to take a second to kind of get his bearings on the clay? Will he pick up where he left off? Is Del Potro, with his new game, because he does have a new game, how will the clay treat Juan Martin Del Potro? These are a few things to look out for. And I will have a video obviously next Monday, but probably before then. It's been a crazy couple of weeks, but I will be back in my studio for the summer, and I'll be trying to get out more videos during the week. I used to just do quick takes, more videos like that during the week, and then go more in depth, look at some footage and stuff like that, like what I did with Chung Serve. Do more of that on Monday, if you know what I mean. So that's it for now. Hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you next time.